Technique, we're going to use the screw modifier using a path curve, and we would use the extrude tool to create a wine glass using this technique. So first things first, okay, when you do this, make sure you're in the front viewport orthographic. This is the mandatory, okay? You don't want to be drawing lines when you're not in a flat viewport. Then you're not going to have a flat drawing. You'll have in and out, forward and backwards placement of your points, which will warp your object. Okay, so first things first, front orthographic. Next, we are manipulating everything on the screen-wise left-hand side of the blue line. Okay, we only create stuff here. We don't create stuff anything in here. It's always here. Okay, and the first and last point of your drawing needs to be on the blue line or the z-axis. You've noticed on our previous demo, if it's a little bit to the left, you'll get a hole. If it goes to the right, you get a intersecting object. Okay, so I'm gonna get a curved path right here. You can use a Bezier, but I like using this one because it doesn't have any handles. It makes it easier for demoing. Okay, and if I press tab, you see all the points. It has 5 points to begin with. So I'm just gonna rotate this R90 so it's standing up. So rules that we set here is that the first and last points needs to be on the blue line. Can they be almost touching each other? Of course, except you can't be manipulating this where they're going to the right or left, because you'll see that later when we apply the screw modifier that it will have consequences. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'm going to start with the base of the wine champagne glass, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I'm gonna go here, and then in order to get a sharper corner, you want to pack in at least 3 of these points. So I'm gonna use all this 3 right here. Okay, so let me zoom in on that one. It's still kind of lifted up a bit, right? So this would be bad design if you are designing, let's say, a glass. It's not stable, right? So if I select those 2 and I want to add a point in between, I'm going to right click and subdivide. What I'll do with this GX, I'm going to push it right here close to that other point. As you can see now, I have almost like a straight line. I'm going to move that up a bit like so, just so that, okay, so that way this is the bottom of that wine glass or champagne glass. So I'm going to press E to extrude, selecting this point, and then start my design. So this is the typical kind of base of the glass. Okay, so it's a little bit more stable. Okay, and then here I'm going to start adding some points, like 4 points. So I'm putting like a little ball or like a grip ball at the bottom so that, you know, it's a little bit more stable. Okay, and I'm gonna go over here. This is where I'm gonna add some more points right here so that I can then create the area for the wine glass, or the that would hold the wine or the champagne. Okay, let's go with the classic champagne glass here, so they're tall. The one they use for wedding. All right, right there. So I'm putting 4 points here. Okay, so that, because if you only have 1 or 2, you're not going to get this look right here. It'll be too smooth. You won't get that angle. And what I'll do is I have to create the thickness of the glass, so it doesn't end right there. Otherwise, you'll have a paper thin model. So I'm going to go here, extrude it all the way. So I'm just matching the number of points I have here. Okay, and then here, and then finally, we can do actually better than just me eyeballing where that went. It's not so bad. You could snap to a grid and then make sure it's there. But I'm just going to zoom in and then park it right there. Okay, so how many points do I have? But, well, depending on how you want to design your wine glass, you know, you could omit and skip this part, and that part too. You can simplify this one. So totally up to you. But key takeaway here: there's at least minimum 4 points. The lip right there, and then a little bit more points right here to keep this one flat and straight, and then angle this one. I can still go back and manipulate this after I applied it, but I'm going to go and kind of fix all these issues now that I can see. because sometimes it's harder to visualize it when it's still flat like this. It's a lot easier when it's all done. Okay, so what I'll do is go to object mode, go to my modifier and apply screw modifier. Change your axis to X, and there it is. Okay, so I'm guessing here this is a way too wide, you know, it doesn't look too elegant right here, and it's not too tall right there, not enough. So like I said, sometimes it's kind of hard to visualize when you're in just drawing it in 2D. Once you see it in 3D, and then it all makes sense. Okay, so I think I want to make this one slimmer, so I'm going to select those, kind of move that a little bit like so. Same thing here. Okay, probably going to grab all this and then GZ, so I can just go up, so I can increase that one. All right, so let's say depending on your consumption you know, protocol, you can make it like this, you know. So you're gonna say, man, it's gonna be a long wedding, you know. So you can just 3 days drinking. All right, gonna make it taller a little bit right here. Okay, make that one a little bit more kind of refined looking. All right, so again, not the end of the world when you model. You can always manipulate that. I just want to match those two right there so that my topology, when I convert this, it kind of goes along right there. Okay, so right there, and this one is now done. Okay, you can see it's a little bit more faceted right there. That's our next kind of angle, right? I mean, lesson right here is how do we increase or decrease the resolution. Okay, keep in mind that I can add another modifier to this called subdivision surface, and it will smooth it out. You see what happened before and after. Okay, so I could just leave it like that and then add a modifier and then make it smooth. Okay, so let me get rid of that first. Let's talk about what these things are. I'm going to go to my overlay and force the wireframe to show up so we could see it, even though I'm in object mode. Normally you have to go to edit mode in order to see that. Okay, so we have steps right here. Okay, so the steps, okay, by default it's 16. So the more I add to the steps, I'm going to go back to the default so you can see it. I'm going to click it one at a time. I'm going to lessen it first. Okay, all right, I'm going to go with, let's say 8. Okay, instead of 16, I cut it in half. And then you might say, well, Dane, that's looking way too polygonal, right? Kind of like PS1 graphics, right? So we'll add a subdivision surface. All right, it still works, folks. Look, it still looks smooth. It still holds its shape. Okay, so again, depending on what you plan to do after, you could be wasting polygon by increasing steps, and you could just save it using subdivision surface. Okay, so let's go back and turn on our wireframe here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of subdivision again, just so that we can keep applying it so you get used to the fact that you're seeing that. So steps right here only manipulated how smooth it is from the 360 creation. We still haven't done anything to control this one, because look, do we need all these polygons here? We don't. Okay, to create a smooth one, it's way too many. So since the screw modifier can only handle the steps right here, we actually have to go to the objects parameter. So this is your icon to access the original line that we were using, this one right here. Okay, so right now it says its resolution is 12. This is the default. So if I lessen this, all right, you see all those horizontal lines kind of disappearing? Okay, maybe 1 is way too low. I'm going to go with 2. All right, you think with 2 we'll still get a smooth looking one after we add a subdivision surface. Again, the line is still selected. We haven't converted this to a mesh, so this is still a line, right? When I go to edit mode, I change its preview resolution U to 2 instead of 12. Okay, so you can see that's what happens when you increase that, decrease. Okay, I'm going to add a subdivision surface. And guess what? It's still gonna look smooth. All right, and we still have those detail right there. Okay, so that's how you can control that, because there's no point increasing that number because you can't tell the difference. Okay, watch this. Crank this up. Okay, I'm now 61. You gain a little bit of volume right here, but look at the polygon that's being wasted here for, look at that, not crazy? Okay, and if I go to a screw modifier, steps 8, I'm going to increase this to, whoa, there goes the computer. Okay, all right, I got the, all right, there you go. I thought the computer crashed. Isn't that crazy? See how high resolution this is? Okay, so that's 272. Oh no. All right, let me go back to 8 on that one. Go back to 2 on this one. And we still get a fairly smooth object here. Okay. All right. So that's how you model this, and then we can do another one. Okay. So I'm going to leave it right here. I'm going to just go right here. So again, same rule. We have to be from the front. Left side only, right? So I'm going to get a curve path right here. GZ, I want to bring it up here. I want to rotate it, R90. So it's standing up. Let's make a, let's say a fruit bowl, okay? All right, so hit tab on that one. It's going to be, I'm going to move this points here. I'm just going to start on that one, okay? So I'm going to, that will be the bottom. And usually it will have a leg. All right, so there's the leg. Okay, I'm going to press E. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the lip. All right, there we go. All right, so there it is. If you want more detail to the leg or the base right here, okay, you can add, let's say, a subdivision here. Okay, so you can push that a little bit so you get, all right. What kind of graphic do you usually see at the bottom right here? Made in China, right? Most likely. All right, so I'm just gonna make it a little bit wider. You do that as well. Okay, so you can already probably imagine what this will look like. All right, screw modifier, X. All right, there it is. And of course, we can lower the steps, so let's say to 8. Okay, and then our curve from 12 to 2. Let's apply a subdivision surface modifier. Control 2 is the keyboard shortcut, and then viewport to 2. There you go. It's still fairly smooth. You see it? Oh, so I didn't hit the center. You see it? Am I off on this one? I think so. Okay, there it is. So I went a little bit over. There you go. Let me go back. There you go. I probably have to zoom in on that one. Anyway. Okay, same thing on the bottom right there. You got to zoom in. All right. So that's one way to kind of create any symmetrical object. Okay, one last one. Let's model the apple and the pear. I'm going to go with Pat right here, GZ. So I'm going to move that up. R90 to rotate it. Hit tab and then kind of get the shape. All right, so I'm going to select everything and subdivide so I get 1 point for each one. Makes it easier and faster, so go like so. And this particular apple would be kind of like a Fuji apple or a Gala apple. All right, not your Washington Red Delicious, because that would have those tiny little legs at the bottom. You can add those after you convert it into a polygon. All right, so let's say that's good enough before it start looking like a tomato. Make it a little leaner. Okay. Screw modifier. X-axis. We know now. I'm going to drop this to 8 because we know it'll look good. Okay. This one drop to 2. It'll look faceted. Apply a subdivision. Viewport to 2 so it matches your render. There it is. If you're not happy with your apple, hit tab, go to edit mode, and then you can still manipulate it here. So let's say I want to make it a little bit leaner right here. Okay. But I do like my Fuji apple, so. Well, maybe I'm going to move these points right here because I don't need them all here at the bottom. All right. Kind of slim it down a little bit. All right, I think that's good right there. Okay. I'm going to duplicate the apple, move it to the z-axis going up. I'm going to change this apple to a pear simply by, again, first and last point, sorry. Always needs to be on that blue line, right? So move this GZ. All right, and I think that's good enough where it's at right there. I'm gonna go here and then kind of just and again, this is symmetrical. There's a lot more we can do in polygon mode to kind of make this one look like a pear. Okay. All right, so let's stop the lesson here and then we'll go to our conversion on part 3. So